Welcome to Staying on the Trail with your host, Jeny Gangemi. What are some of the teachings that have entered the church? What's the difference between Christianity and a cult? Do all roads lead to God? Has the church been infiltrated by demonic doctrines? And is being spiritual the same thing as being in the Spirit? Well, let's find out together and see what the scriptures say.
Hey, it's my friends. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm in church. Hey, how are you guys? Let me get a hug. Let me get a hug. Let me get a hug. Where are you? Well, ow! Ow! Dang! Wait, this is not working. Okay, hey guys, look, I'm here for the Bible study. How are you? Let me find my seat over here. It's nice to see you. Yeah, let me get my coffee. Let me get my VR set on so I can be just like you guys. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's get that coffee. Gotta have the coffee. Where is it? Where is my coffee? Ah, there it is. What the? Hi, everyone. So that was me just being silly on that VR. It's really not like that, but sometimes it is. I'll tell you, my experience with VR, and my son has a headset, and I tried one of these, explore this mountain up in Maine. It was beautiful. So you put the goggles on, and then you could see above yourself. I saw birds flying overhead, and I saw a trail, and of course, I love trails, so I tried to follow this trail. And I bent down to pick up a leaf on a shrub, and it looked so real, and my hands kind of went through it, and then I banged my head on his dresser because, of course, in reality, I was in his bedroom. It really feels real, though, and it elicits all the senses. The sight, of course, you could see 360 above, on the sides of you, even behind you if you turn around. And it also, your hearing, it has earphones in it, so you can hear sounds. You could hear something behind you. They call it surround sound. Then also, what my son doesn't have, but is put out by Oculus and is futuristic, and it's in the market right now too, is a full bodysuit and or gloves that you can put on, and you can actually feel things on your body, maybe something hitting it, a vibration, heat, cold, things like that. And this will really immerse you into the virtual reality that they're trying to convey. So to me, it's pretty crazy that you really feel like you're there. And if I remember, the very first time I tried VR was at a mall. And I put everything on, and it took me through whatever it was, and some kind of Shark Tank. And it elicited a lot of responses. But I remember when he took the machine off, I didn't want to be back. I wanted to stay there because it was one of the places I was in was so beautiful. And then when he took all the equipment off, I was back in the mall again. I was like, oh crap, I got to drive home, and this and that's raining outside. So it really was like a letdown. I didn't want to go. It was a beautiful place. So that's a little dangerous when you think about it, that you don't want to come back to reality. The problem with VR, I'm going to try to convey in this video, is that it makes you want that augmented reality, that counterfeit reality, because let's face it, reality is difficult. You wake up, you have aches, you have pains, you have sickness, you have a tough day ahead of you of work, you have rain, you have darkness, you know, it's not everything is perfect. And that's part of the reason why it is funny when you watch somebody flailing about and hitting their head and getting all mangled when they're on a VR. Of course, when you're in reality and you're watching them, because that is funny. The thing with VR is you do experience the emotions, the adrenaline rush, the increased heart rate, the fear, happiness, elation, all those happen to your body, and it's real. Your body can't differentiate between, your mind can sometimes if you remind itself, but it's getting more and more difficult to differentiate between reality and virtual reality. So look, technology is neutral, all right? These glasses, it's a technology, right? It helps me see better, but they're not evil in itself. It's what I use them for. Also, things like microphones, they're good. They're neutral. They're not good or bad, but it's what you say, what you're saying into that microphone to get to the people to listen to it. That's what can be good or evil. So usually good and evil lies within ourselves. So the part about VR that should make us pause and is a huge red flag is the lies it promotes. Okay, just the word itself, virtual reality. Virtual means very close to being something, but actually not being that exact same thing. And that's the part that as a believer should really open our eyes. So virtual reality is not reality, but it's close to reality, and it does fool your mind, it fools your body into thinking it. The eyes are the windows to your soul. I mean, this can actually creep into your very core of your being. Counterfeit has the same definition as virtual. Okay, that's a virtual $100 bill you got there, or a counterfeit one. Means basically the same thing. Now, who's the great counterfeiter in Scripture? Satan, the god of this world himself. He's always, that's one of his big MOs, is that he counterfeits the things that God has made. Okay, he wants himself to be as God. So things like, just think of common everyday things like us, for example. Here's what I look like, okay? Getting old. I got some wrinkles and whatnot. I do dye my hair, obviously, but this is basically me. But an avatar, what is an avatar? An avatar is a enhanced picture of yourself, okay? If I made an avatar of myself, I would definitely not have these eye wrinkles. I would have better teeth, etc., etc. You present yourself to look like something that you really don't look like in real life. You try, it's not the same. How about food? God's given us some just really good, healthy foods. Pull a carrot out of the ground, wash it and eat it. You got a lot of vitamins there. But the world, okay, Satan, the god of this world, the world, his system offers us factory foods, which are not as nutritious, even if they spray it with vitamins. Also, think about another example, and this is not exhaustive by any chance because there's no way you're going to watch 3 hours of me going blah, blah, blah. Music. Music was created to give glory to God. Okay, there's some beautiful music. The whole book of Psalms is music written to glorify God. Think of the music of today, self-praise. Okay, give glory to me, up on stage, elevated above everybody, lights, cameras, everything on that person, and they're called idols. American Idol, we love our idols, we love our music people. They're so very influential to us, especially younger people. Younger people. Now I sound old, right? So, yeah, don't be such a church lady, Jen. I know. Okay, VR is fun, and it's, it's immersive though. It's just a game. Yeah. But here's the question: is it replacing reality? And that's a question we should be asking ourselves. The games I used to play, Atari, okay, that's good stuff. You know it's fake. You got a little cursor, a little dot that you're getting shot at by these fake arrows and whatnot. But you know it was fake, and you can just up and walk away from that. I'm telling you, VR, I didn't want to leave that thing. Anyway, so let's look at avatars, all right? Here's some examples of avatars that people have made for themselves. And these avatars are in a church, which I'm getting to in a minute. All right, these avatars, they're not even human, some of them, looking at them. Is this what people think of themselves? I want to look like a Japanese anime? Kind of weird, right? It's a lie about yourself. Okay, it's not true. So like I said, we're going to look at how VR has infiltrated the church. So watch this short video of a real church called the VR Church. And then I'll catch you back.
Virtual reality church. We're the first church to exist entirely in VR. And I'm really excited because behind me, I have my church family from all over the globe. You see these emojis? They're for you because they want to invite you to VR church. Everyone is welcome. It doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. So grab a VR headset, download AltSpace VR, and come experience something that you've never experienced before. Bye-bye, everyone.
Some of those things that I commented on as the video was playing. Kind of weird, right? Would you enjoy going to that church? Well, you don't have to get dressed, that's for sure. Take a shower, right? Put your makeup on. But I want you to look at the VR Church's mission statement, okay? they even say that non-believers can attend, which is a huge red flag, because the definition of church, according to the scriptures, is a group of saved, believing individuals that get together on occasion. They assemble together. The word church means an assembly. Assemble together. All right? And they get together to encourage, to equip each other, to sing songs of praise to God, not to themselves. And that's the biblical definition of church. Okay, church is in person. Okay, you can't get past the in-person fellowship with somebody else. You just can't. It's real. Okay, the church is real. What about something I thought about? What about the elderly people in a congregation of believers? I know somebody in my church that she calls the computer the .com because she doesn't have one. She doesn't even have, I don't think she has an iPhone. She doesn't have any of that. And my parents are elderly, okay? They're probably not going to watch this, but because they don't have a computer, they don't have an iPhone. They don't live in that realm that we do. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of annoying sometimes you can't share things with them, but it's also, I kind of envy that because I'm old enough to remember life without all this. And it was much simpler. I will say that, way, way simpler. Elders. When the Bible talks about elders in the church, go to the New Testament, find the letters that Paul wrote to the churches, and he talks about elders. Those are older people in the faith, people that have been believers a lot longer than the younger people. And those elders are to be, followed. They're to be listened to. They're to be getting advice from. They're valuable. And if you look at the trend of churches today is just, all the technology and the dark lighting that I just know a friend of mine whose dad tripped and fell in the aisle of the church because they had it so dark because they wanted everything up on the stage, the screens, so they darkened the audience. It kind of pushes the elderly away, all right? This is God's plan to have the elders of the church, the older people teaching the younger ones. And in Titus 3, older women teaching the younger women, older men teaching the younger men. And that's God's way, okay? These gatherings, put air quotes, are missing out on that. Okay, if the trend is going all toward younger people and excluding the older people who may not be as technologically savvy as the younger people, well, that's missing them out. And one of the greatest blessings is to have an older person in the church with their advice, in person, sitting there with their cold hand on your arm and telling you advice. That's my favorite thing about Sundays when I meet with some of the older people. And I'm becoming one of those older people too. And it is a blessing to be able to teach the younger people now too. One of the other greatest blessings that can happen to a church or a gathering today is a power outage. What do you think of that? What would happen in your church if you had a power outage? I'm blessed to say that we would still continue, not even blink an eye, because we have this old out-of-tune piano, acoustic, and we'll sing our songs. And if we didn't even have the acoustic piano, we would sing a cappella, and it would still bring praise to God's name. And then we could read right out of the Bible like we do. But my church is such a blessing, but it's such a rarity today. Okay, I did go to another church that we did have a power outage because of snow, and we managed to all fit in the church basement together and sing a cappella and have a message without anything on the video screen behind. And can I tell you, everybody loved it, but it was the only time we did it. It's not like life went on after that, but it was such a wonderful, organic, normal, real. It was more real. But anyway, no matter how you slice it, this is a cheap counterfeit of a biblical church gathering. So here's the pastor of the VR church. Here is his avatar. Looks like a great guy, huh? Pink hair. And VR church, the possibilities are endless because we control space and time. Actually, God controls space and time. And this is a church? Question mark? An article on virtual churches says they're all part of the constantly evolving way that we experience religion. And for the church to remain relevant, we need to continue to embrace innovation by listening to new voices coming from the town square. The town square? This is a quote from an interview. "We have a lot of people talking about faith," she says, "but I know for a surety That when you can experience someone's faith and their hope, when you can go inside of their life and feel it, conversion will increase. Let's look what the Bible has to say, okay? We're going to go directly to the pages of my analog, non-technology Bible. All right, so 1 Corinthians 1:21, we'll read that, but I want to tell you, the Corinthian church is very much like the church we have today. Corinthian church is basically just like today's modern church, even your today's mega churches, if you will. They had a lot of problems that are similar to the problems of today. And Paul wrote 1st and 2nd Corinthians, the books of them in the Bible, to them. And read them for yourself. So I'm going to read to you 1 Corinthians 1, starting in verse 21. Put that up on the screen. For after that, in the wisdom of God, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. For the Jews require a sign, the Greeks seek after wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified. Unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness, but unto them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. Because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. And skipping down to verse 27, but God hath chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And God's chosen the weak things of this world to confound the things which are mighty, and base things of the world, and things which are despised, those things God has chosen. Yea, and things which are not, to bring to naught, or nothing, things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. Take these off. That no flesh should glory in his presence. God deserves the glory himself. Paul said again in chapter 2, verse 1 to basically the same thing, okay, verse 1 to 5. And I, brethren, when I came to you, came not with excellency of speech or of wisdom, declaring unto you the testimony of God. For I determined not to know anything among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and much trembling. And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and power, that your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. So the wisdom of men, bright lights, flashing lights, avatars, like entertainment up on a stage, music that just gives glory to yourself and your emotions and your feelings at that point of time. That's not from God. Okay? Let's address the avatars since we just mentioned them. All right? Virtual means counterfeit, not real. It means a lie. Thinking about how children are groomed. Okay, my children, I could watch them because we didn't have this in our childhood in the 1970s as much. But they were groomed and they watched SpongeBob and everything was about imagination, okay? Follow your imagination. We had that with Mr. Rogers in the Land of Make-Believe, but children already have an imagination, okay? Our imaginations are inborn. They get us through a lot of situations, but they don't need to be like constantly, come on kids, imagine, imagine, imagine. So as these kids have grown up, they've gotten into things called cosplay, which basically means costume play, which basically are adults walking around in costumes, okay? It's fun, but some people really get into it, okay? It's a huge theme. Cosplay, let's just follow the trail, okay? Staying on the trail. Let's follow this trail as where it leads. So you're going from kids learning about imaginations, and then it leads to cosplay as adults, and then that leads to avatars, okay? Everything you have on social media has your avatar on it. You could be anything you want. You could be any gender you want now. You could dress as a cat and get implants put in your face of whiskers, and people will have to take you seriously because that's you, that's what you want to be, which leads further down the trail to human 2.0, okay? Transhumanism, that's a big thing today that's being pushed. You are whoever you want to be. And this will just going to keep going. You watch. It's going to keep going and keep going because God created man in his image, and Satan, the great counterfeiter, wants to turn us into his image, which is a false image. What does the Bible say about all this? I want to talk about the word sober. Now, I'm not speaking about not drinking alcohol, that kind of. I've been sober for 10 years, which means I haven't drank alcohol. The biblical definition of the word sober. It talks about the word sober about 18 times, give or take, in the New Testament, in the epistles, which are the letters to the churches, which totally applies to us today. You don't really find anything in the Old Testament about it. It's like Paul kept telling us to be sober, be sober, be sober. And I put on the screen here everything in the New Testament, so you can do some homework and you can look these up yourself if you'd like. It's all in the Bible, okay? The definition, the old Webster Merriam definition, means serious. It also means the word regular, which I love that word. I always say, hey, let's just be regular about this. So serious, regular, calm, not under the influence of passion, with cool reasoning. I like that, cool reasoning. Makes me think of Joe Cool, Snoopy. So those are the passages that talk about Christians, believers, to be sober. Because there's a time that Paul looked ahead to, and he knew that people aren't going to be sober. There's not a lot of sober people out there. Believe me, in my state, anywhere you turn is a cannabis dispensary. And every time I drive on the road, I smell that horrible, skunky smell of pot being smoked by people driving. And people drive like crazy. So there's not a lot of sobriety. Let's look up some more verses about imagination, okay? Psalm 2, verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let's break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sits in the heavens shall laugh, and the Lord shall have them in derision. God's going to laugh at these people. Also, 2 Corinthians 10:5 mentions imaginations too. For the weapons of our warfare, I'm starting at verse 4, they're not carnal, but mighty, through God to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. Another passage I thought was appropriate was Philippians 4. I'll start in 7. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are, what's the first one? True. What are honest, what things are just, lovely, good report, virtue, any praise, think on these things. We're talking about your mind and your thinking. Okay? The very first one is true. So how important is truth? That's it. It's the most important thing. So if you are believing in virtual, counterfeit reality, that's not truth. So remember, God's way is better. Our enemy's trying to blur the lines between reality and imagination, and he's succeeding. Not 100% though. There's always a remnant. Okay? God's way is better. Remember the old Coke ads from the 70s? It's the real thing. Because there was a lot of counterfeit. Coke, they say, came out first. I think it did in the 1800s. I don't know. But then Pepsi came out, RC Cola, all those other things came out. The advertisement was that Coke's the real thing. But I'll tell you this, Jesus Christ is the real thing. So follow him. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you can have your eyes open to what's going on today and compare it to the scriptures, because that's what we do here on Staying on the Trail. Okay, the trail is the Holy Bible. I'll talk to you guys soon. Hopefully come up with another